That's unheard of. And so YouTube totally fucked me. I crashed the server. I was using so much bandwidth I broke the internet. I crashed the fucking servers because I was so popular, I guess. The my YouTube channel is just, I'm not used to that much of a high volume traffic, so had to go down, I guess. I was just spouting too much truth, you know. I was going off about, you know, how they're trying to kill all of us in the quiet genocide. They're trying to suffocate us slowly. We're slowly dying out. It's a slow eugenics that they're doing. So YouTube had to shut me down, of course. There was too much truth. I'm like Alex Jones or something, I guess. I'm going to get sued. No, that's a different thing. Okay, so now I'm back up. Hopefully people will join. YouTube fucked me. I'm sorry. I crashed the servers. I had so much traffic, I crashed the fucking servers. So they blew, you know. I was spouting too much truth about the slow eugenics and the quiet. I mean, just, I don't know, man. New York, okay, so. All right, so anyway, this gig, yeah, I don't know, it was fun. It was fun. This guy, okay, this guy from, I didn't meet him, but this guy from Google Bordello was there. Eugene Hutz, which is cool. I guess he's friends. Billy Lamont is an amazing guy. I just want to shout out to Billy Lamont. He's a great poet, great human being, great spirit. This is how poets should be, god damn it. They're supposed to be like these great spirits. That's the fucking point. You know, I don't know if I don't know. It's about how you live and how you know, flash your soul out into the fucking piercing night of Long Island. We're coming to Long Island. That's our next stop on the tour. We're coming to Long Island. We're coming to Jersey. We're coming to the Jersey Shore, okay? Easy Paradise coming. It's tour. Spring break 2024. Jersey Shore. Long Island, baby. Woo! 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 Yeah, so I don't know. I did some. I think I kind of. It's okay. Here's the thing I will say. Okay, this is a pro tip or just talking shop, which is kind of what my live streams are about, I guess. Is whoa, look at this. It's like Dwanell. Um, fuck. What was I gonna say? Oh God, I just. What was it? It was something about performing. I think. At 96 Tears. Fuck. Oh. Well, anyway, Billy Lamont was like on Lollapalooza and shit. This is something. Okay, so I was talking about this yesterday. You know, in the 90s, there was still like a popular media that like you could get if you were in New York, if you were interesting, if you were talented, if the right people thought you were cool, you could get on Conan, you could get on MTV maybe, like fucking, you know, Edwin Torres was on MTV or Todd Colby was on MTV. It's like, you know, Billy Lamont was on an MTV. He was on Lollapalooza, you know, so it's like you could build a little kind of cottage industry out of that as an artist, you know. That's something that for better or for worse had a brand kind of authority that people would be like, "Oh, fuck, this guy was on MTV. He must be great." You know, it's like part of what is happening in our society is those kind of things are dissolving. You know, the legacy kind of like stamp of approval, whether it's Saturday Night Live or whatever the fuck it is, those things are sort of trying to hold their place, and that includes New York City to some degree, as sort of the authoritative, you know, centralized. You know, everything is decentralized in everybody's pocket, and pretty soon everybody's, you know, brain chip or whatever. Yeah, that's right. I'm a YouTube conspiracy theorist now, okay? I'm getting on and I'm saying my wingnut. No, I'm just kidding. Jersey Shore, spring break. That was. Fuck, what the fuck was I talking about? I had a pro tip. Oh, well, it's gone forever. Um, yeah, okay, so, okay, yeah, this is what it was. A lot of times, right? Maybe this is not a good idea, and maybe even when I try to, like, this is a form of me trying to control the outcome, I think. But it's like I have to be in the room before I really know what I want to read, right? because I don't know necessarily who's gonna be in the audience, and the audiences are vastly different, to be honest. Like it, and so that's one of the things that's interesting about doing two gigs in one night, or two, a bunch of gigs in a row, is like you get to see how your stuff plays in different places. And so like, I do some, and I don't know if comedians do this, or maybe you should just do the same fucking, the idea is your material should just work everywhere or something. But like, to me, it's like, there's definitely, plus it's like every reading is a custom thing, and I want it to be tailored to that place and time. And so there's certain things that maybe I want to say to people that feel like this is something that's relevant to this audience, or maybe it ties in with the circumstances where we're reading, whoever's reading, the day, or whatever, the location. And so my work is way more kind of like idiosyncratic, and like I've got a lot of material that's sort of more just like specific trivia about a lot of different things, but it's all kind of similar. The pieces are all kind of similar, even though there's specific information that I may want to deliver to people. There's specific lines that I may want to say that I feel like might work. And so, you kind of have to be in the room, feel. And so, a lot of times I'm sitting there with my chapbook, I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'll say that, I want to say this. People might like this. This feels relevant to the circumstance, the ambiance, the vibe, the kind of, the emotional tone of the evening, or whatever. What other people are reading, or performing. And I don't know. It's like, maybe I should prepare more. I mean, this is something that you hear. I mean, this is a universal thing. I mean, especially on sports, right? Sports talk or whatever. It's like your preparation is everything. You want to make your mistakes off the field, and you want to, at the open mic or at the show or whatever, when it's time to deliver, it's not about just like being avant-garde, or like I'm just gonna read some kind of weak stuff that like I'm trying out. Or for me, it's like I'm not even trying it out. It's just like that's the end. I want to deliver this material. I've got a venue to do it. And so this is my publishing, is I'm going to read it, I'm going to film it, I'm going to put it online. And that's the way that I sort of like publish. But, recently, I mean, particularly, I think if you're reading to more, I don't know, when you're booked to read on stuff, it's a different thing than doing an open mic, right? Like, especially if there's going to be a bunch of people there. And so it's like, that is a little bit, if somebody asks you to do 10 minutes, I mean, depending on who it is, some people, are going to be more judgmental than others. And maybe I should take it seriously every time. Maybe every time I go out, I should be like, I'm going to fucking crush, and I'm going to just like, I'm not going to do anything weird. I'm not going to scare anybody or yell or anything, or, But that's not what I've been doing. I've been trying to be a little bit, like, reality shattering and confrontational, and not complacent, a little bit disruptive, I guess. And in the Sam Kinison, trying to fucking blow the roof off. I don't know. It's a lot of it is just like anxiety, nervousness, and so you just smoke more weed, thinking that that's gonna make you less have less stage fright. But it also, that nervousness gives you juice. It gives you propulsion. Getting caught in a trap, sometimes you do surprise yourself and spring out of it and go, fuck, how did I think of that? I did come up with the right line, or, I did hit the ball. But that's why I'm saying live performance, and maybe I'm out of bounds on this, but it does feel like it's more like baseball or something, where it's like, not every fucking time you're going to get on base. In fact, maybe your percentage is not going to be that high. I don't know. with comedy especially, it's like Jesus Christ. It feels like every time out of the gate, you have no clue what's going to happen. Maybe that's just because I'm unprepared and I don't rehearse or write material really. I just sort of like bullet point and go out and spiel. That's what I'm saying is it's harder to do that in front of an audience. Like even now, there's 3 people watching, so I'm like, oh fuck, this is like, and I love that people are watching. I'm not saying I don't want people to watch, but it makes it it does even in my, I should be beyond this. It's like, I don't, your average live stream might have thousands of people watching. I've been doing this for years and still I have no audience. It's incredible. Because I talk about my personal life and it's like, who gives a fuck? Who cares about the details of this guy's personal life in New York City as an open mic, avant-garde performance artist, poet, whatever. But I am of the mind that the more specific I get, the more detailed I talk about things, the more relatable it is. And I'm also just trying to write the novel. It's like I want all the detail to be there. I want to talk about specifics and memoirize my experience, the lives of the poets as I go. And so this past week in the lives of the poets, there's been a lot of action. And so, yeah, I did my reading. And okay, so one thing, okay, I have this real bad cavity in my rear left corner tooth, which has developed over the last year. And, but, and on the one hand, it's been kind of and I don't want to, it's kind of because I can't smoke really as much because the nerve hurts when I smoke and I start to feel it like in my face and shit. And so I haven't been smoking as much. So it's weirdly kind of like leveled me out in a way where it's like I still, I was. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know, especially when you're trying to communicate to a big audience. For whatever reason, it's like I'm living like it's 1966 or something, where it's like I'm chugging joints before every reading. And then you go into a room of people that are mostly sober, People in New York are not, they just got off work or something. They all have jobs. They're all super type A, super professional, super fucking smart, and super high standards. And so if you show, I'm unprepared, I'm high, and it's like I'm loud, and my eyes are fucking all druggy looking. I really am self-conscious about being high. I mean, it is like a constant thing in my head where I'm thinking like, oh my God, people are going to know I'm high. I'm going to be weird. My energy's going to be weird. People are going to be scared. I'm going to be too, so it's like, it's constantly like a neurotic kind of like self-doubt and insecurity. I'm sorry to, reveal that on the internet. I know that's weakness. So anyway, it went pretty well. Okay, so as a consequence of not smoking, like before this reading, I don't think I really smoked. I think I smoked at the beginning, and then there, it was like an hour and a half before I read, or maybe even it was like maybe even longer. So it's like I wasn't really like there was, obviously like a mental sharpness, and you can kind of put thoughts together, and so also it's like if you're quieter, I know I'm famous for being loud and like a softness in a, it's sometimes it's like I said, it's hard for me to kind of downshift into that. But I got lucky at a couple of these readings where I was able to get to a place that was like a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle. And so I'm trying to write to that, coming out of the pandemic or whatever, there was a lot of just like, let's let it rip. And, this is kind of about being a bad boy of fucking poetry and, writing about sex in kind of a raunchy way as sort of just like a way of reclaiming, it was just like there's so much sex negative discourse, and the sexes are being so divided, and there's such a war, going on between gender, and so I don't know. Not that I just wanted to celebrate because I love sex, and I think it's the glory of life, and so I don't know if the way that we talk about it is kind of it doesn't come on my whatever it's not it sounds pornographic. Sorry, that's just the word that we use for sex is pornography. It's like it's not pornographic, it's romantic. It's romantic poetry is what it is. Okay? This is romance. This is love. Okay? This is how we embody and enact love, okay? I'm sorry you're not comfortable with that. But, it's Whitman, right? It's, singing the body electric and whatnot. And so, I don't, but that was also, it was a hard pivot, coming out of the pandemic. I think we were all horny. We weren't allowed to be within 6 feet of another person. It was insane. What a cruel psyop. Social experiment they performed on us. Unprecedented in human history. We were the guinea pigs. So anyway, we came out hot, We came in, so my books, I don't know. It's controversial, but whatever. I think it's important for people to have sex and to bond because that's the problem is, right, we're in a loneliness epidemic, right? We're in an epidemic of isolation, which is very predictable. I mean, I remember seeing studies of this probably 10 or 15 years ago on the internet about how America was more isolated. Our lifestyles are more isolated than most other developed countries or whatever. Probably most every country, really. Because we can afford to be and because they want us to be. Car lifestyle, it's all alienating. You can't, there's no third space, right? There's no community. They want you to be watching TV. They want you to be consuming. They want you to feel insecure, disconnected. They want you to get all your fulfillment from objects, buying things. It's all consumerism. It's all just buy clothes, people love you. Buy this, people love you. They don't want you to have real fucking bonds with people and shit. And so that's there's a correlation between the way that people are isolated and alone in this country and depression and suicide and probably shooting up schools and shit. Things like that. But definitely depression, people get medicated, whatever. And so it is important, whether we like it or not, to be around other people at times. Your family, your community, whatever that is, going to a bar, going to a third space. I don't know, even in New York, I think this is one of the beauties and glories of New York, and one of the ingenious aspects of the organic urban design of the place is you can be alone here, but you're not alone. You're surrounded by people. You can interact. You can dip into social situations, kind of alleviate the loneliness, be a part of a bigger whole. But you can also kind of be dissociated, be in solitude. There's nothing wrong with solitude. I think that's one of the uses of poetry. These people who are lonely fucking write poetry. That's what loneliness is for. It's what it does. You get sad, you get melancholy, you're alone. You start thinking, you start yearning, you start pining, you start soliloquizing, you start being eloquent, You start singing like a nightingale. And so if there is, but the loneliness is just people on screen. That's all it fucking is. It's people on TikTok. It's people on Xbox Live or whatever, the PS5. It's people who don't know how to relate to each other, really. They're all self-conscious, That, the society wants us to be neurotic. The corporations want us to be insecure. They want us to have self doubt. They want a monologue in our head of self doubt constantly. So we don't know how to interact with each other. So there's no solidarity, basically. So we can't organize. If there were strong relationships and strong communities, we would organize, we would have power. People would realize, wait a minute, these people are controlling us. But they just fucking, bribe us, seduce us with all the fucking smoke and mirrors and bell and whistles and shit. Bells and whistles. I will say, I have noticed, I believe, I'm getting a lot more subscribers on my YouTube page recently. And it might be from the open mic, but I do think it's because people are turning away from the fucking streamers. People are there is something happening. There is a shift happening where the culture is sort of changing of the guard from these old ways, the big conglomerates, big media companies, and that includes the streamers, Netflix, Peacock, whatever the fuck it is, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, cable providers, more people, because they don't have any fucking money. Nobody has any money. So they get on YouTube, they get on TikTok, they get on Instagram, which are like poor people platforms. I don't have any streaming at all. I have Max because it comes with my phone plan. Literally, it's built into my phone plan. But Max, they have ads now. How the fuck are they going to charge you money and throw ads in? That's insane. I guess that's what cable is. It's like everybody knows it's just becoming cable. Except you have to pay for every fucking channel individually. And it's on demand, right? So, but I have noticed, I do think more people are coming to YouTube for their first, premium kind of content. And that was the intention the whole time. At least, I don't know. My vlogs are meant to be like Wim Wenders fucking movies. They're not vlogs. It's a kind of a belittling term. They're meant to be cinematic events. Charlie Chaplin came out with a fucking two-reeler every 2 months or whatever it was. It's like it changes. Movies change. Cinema is not dying. It's more prevalent than it ever has been. The indie films are being made in our fucking pockets. The vlogs are the fucking My Own Private Idaho. Okay, these are my Gus Van Sant fucking Miramax films. The vlogs, the live streams, the TikToks, the poetry booklets, the live performances. Okay, so yeah, I was able, I think, to lock into a place that was a little more. I was nervous. There weren't, it wasn't packed. Nobody that I knew showed up. I'm realizing now that I don't have friends. I have, what I mean by that is I'm so career and so, professional, even though I'm, so misguided about how I pursue that, that, I go to open mics. That's what I do. I love it. I love, I don't know, the vaudeville of it. It's the closest thing to vaudeville that we have, probably. And God bless it. Let's keep it alive. I prefer it. Fuck all the other shit. I don't even want to be on a real show. I'll do open mics. No, the shows are nice too, but, people take themselves seriously. The audience takes themselves very seriously. And they want to be, American Idol coddled. They want to be wowed. And, I don't know. To me, it was more about, for the last decade, it's about making certain things possible as an artist. And going to certain places. And exploring. And just doing what I believe, But when you get booked on this stuff, and also if you want to compound your success, you need to do a good job. And so I'm learning how to kind of sit back a little bit and let it come to me and kind of sink into it. And just you can be gentle, be quiet. People want poetry to be quiet. And so smoking less has actually been really helpful because people don't just look at me like I'm completely insane afterwards. I mean, they still think I'm insane, but like when I get high, it's like I'm really like miscalibrated from like what most people think is normal, I think. At least that's the reaction that I get from an audience typically. Um, and it can just go, I mean, it can go so many different ways. If you get high, I mean, it can, the launch can go any different way. And well, to be honest, okay, there's a moment when you're on stage that like there is a leap of faith that you need to take. At least for me, there is usually a moment on stage where like there's something inside me that I'm afraid and I need to like let go of it and just like jump off the cliff, and I either do it or I don't do it, and the set can kind of live or die by that. If like on the last show I did last night, I got there real late because I accidentally double booked myself. I thought I had shows on 2 different days, but I accidentally had two in one day. Which, to be honest, like for comedians, it's not that unusual. It's pretty normal for them to have multiple shows a night. They'll go here early, later. So I don't know. I wanted to see what that was like. That's an exciting badge or whatever. Multiple shows one night, bam. I've had that before, but one of them was early, one of them was later, so I didn't really think it would be that big of an issue. So I showed up to the second show literally right before I was about to go on. So I had no time to prepare. And like I was saying, I like to be in the room with the audience to sort of feel out who they are, see the other performers, what they're reacting to, and then I choose my material based on, okay, I think this would be good. Let me read this. I go in with stuff chosen, but a lot of times when you get there, you're like, oh, fuck, I can't read this because these people will think and well, here's the other thing is I don't time any of it, which is another, like, kind of, monkey wrench to kind of throw into just trying to do it. I'd like to believe that my biological clock is just so good that I've internalized like what it means to do 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever that is, like I can kind of do like at the open mic on Monday. I never time myself, but I almost always do about 9 or 10 minutes. Like I've internalized kind of how long that feels in front of the audience and how long, and so, I kind of have a sense of how long my poems are just based on how long they are in the page because they're all in my notebooks and stuff. So it's like one page might be a minute or what, so I can kind of ballpark it, but I never like rehearse and go, okay, I've got my 12 minutes. I'll read this and then this and then this and then and then I'm done and that's 12 minutes. I never do that. So, you never know if going into it that like, oh, am I going to fuck this up? Am I going to like, am I going to go long? Am I going to be short? Am I, and once you get on stage, at least me, I get terrified. Everything I just black out basically. And, 10 minutes later you get off and you hope that it went well. But I've always had a bad habit. I've never been able to really like look at the audience. I always close my eyes when I'm playing music. And a lot of times, one of the things about KGB that I like is that the lights are in your face. Everybody that reads complains about it or comments on it. But for me, it's like, it's kind of a blessing because I can't see people's faces, right? So I can look out and it kind of makes it look like I'm actually looking at people, but I'm blinded by the light, like The Weeknd or Manfred Mann's Earth Band or The Boss. I'm blinded by the light. So, yeah. A lot of times I get nervous. I can't look at people. Or, you see other people are going up before you and they're killing and you're like, Jesus Christ, how the fuck am I even going to make anybody, because it is this mysterious thing that happens when, at least when I read, it's like I have to kind of have an emotional, it's like like if you're a Bob Dylan fan like me, right? When Bob Dylan performs his songs, he comes up with these profound kind of line readings every time. It's like the song is a new character, and he's able to kind of like it's like a line in a movie where it's like it's got a totally different inflection. It's coming from but it sounds. That's one of the beauties of poetry is it can kind of be ambiguous enough that it could be coming from a lot of different places. You can't exactly figure out the identity of the speaker, but you have there's certain people that there's certain identities that it will mesh with. And so as an actor, as a performer, as an interpreter, which is as a reader, to be honest, to some degree you are an interpreter of your work. And I want to go you know, it's natural for me to do that. It's more natural for me to play it like it's jazz and sort of do some kind of behavioral interpretation of the reading than to just sit there like me honestly. Most of the readings I've done for the last decade I felt really awkward, and I'm doing like an Ashbery imitation because I think that to me is like what poets are supposed to sound like when they read, just like flat, boring. And if you listen closely to my readings you can kind of hear I'm sort of doing an Ashbery imitation, and it's pretty annoying. Even I'm annoyed. But one of the things that I need to work on and need to get back to is like presence. And, you know, a lot of times in a reading, you'll just get caught in your rhythm and you're like, this is annoying. I hate this. This is my Ashbery imitation, but you can't stop. And so one thing I've been better about recently is I sort of catch myself. If I'm doing something that's like, this is, because a poem, it's like you do have to get through it. You know, you do have to get the fucking material across. So you do have to just read the motherfucker. You know, you can't embellish it too much. And so a lot of times I'll try to like emphasize stuff to give it emotional impact. But it's like, you know, there's a lot of, you know, you want to give it like more of a mood, and you want to give it, I want to touch people. You know, I can do that. You know, I do think that most people, and this is something, shout out to Fred Mulligan, he commented on this. A few people have commented on this recently, because I've been going out and doing stuff a little bit more. He's like, I've never seen you actually read before. You know, I always see you at the open mic. I've never actually seen you do your thing. And he's like, wow, you know, you're good. You know, so it's like at the open mic, people don't, that's not really, you know, I'm a host guy. And it's sort of a job. You know, I am trying to just like make it smoothly and run the show. It's not about me, you know. Even though I try to, you know, put jokes, it's practice for me to practice ad-libbing, responding in the moment, being sharp. I love that. I want to be in front of an audience, be with an audience, learn from the audience. I love the audience. The audience loves me. I do think that it's like, it's maybe a necessary relationship for certain people. You know, like when you energetically kind of like connect with an audience, it's a different like bond, and it's a different fucking interaction than anything else. And honestly, audiences generally like me better than one-on-one conversations. God, am I getting to anything that I meant to talk about? I haven't even started talking about these fucking readings yet. Just like, is this just like therapy where I'm just like neurotically just like, oh, I couldn't do this, and I was insecure about this, and woe is me, poor me. Need more jokes, need more laughs, need more, I don't know. My last live stream was pretty lit. You know, so I'm like, I'm trying to match that one. It's like, okay, it's not that easy to do that. But we're just, you know, this is like exploring craft, exploring, you know, this is the work that we're all doing. You know, I mean, at least, you know, probably a lot of the people that watch my live streams are like doing open mics, being performers in New York, and And so, it isn't, to me, it's just fun to do it and to be a part of it. I mean, we want to do shows. We want to get people to pay to do shows. I realize now that I'm not, I'm not good at that part of it, really. The shows that I booked, no one has really come out, and I don't even charge money. Maybe I should charge money. Maybe then people would be like, oh, okay, this will probably be good. It's $20. It's free? Fuck that. We're not going to that shit. Um, yeah, so yeah, I got some nice feedback, after the show on Thursday. I met some cool people. Shout out to Puzzled Panther. They were super cool. This is a band that attended the reading. And like I said, the dude from Google Bordello was there, which is cool, pretty cool. That's one thing about if you live in New York long enough, and if you do enough readings in the East Village, there will be like semi famous celebrities at your gigs. Eventually a celebrity will hear you read poetry. If you read at KGB or in the East Village enough, sooner or later celebrities will. Um, which is, I don't know. It was, that's pretty fucking cool. I mean, it was an old school, kind of magical East Village place, candlelit. I was super honored to be there. Amazing ceremony. I mean, Billy, check out Billy. I wish my big mistake is I didn't film the whole thing. I had my camera. I take my fucking camera to like all of my gigs, and I should have filmed the whole thing. But he had like a TV set up with like a DVD player that he was like gonna play like projections basically behind him. And it was dark, and I was like, yeah. And it was like there was music, so I was like, is this gonna look that good on the camera? And I had my little tripod. The Sue was there. There was a couple people from Long Island. This woman from the Nears Tavern gig the open mic that we had done the previous week was there. And so it was like, people that I had just kind of met, which was kind of cool. And so a lot of it's on Facebook. But yeah, I fucked up the recording, so I didn't get it. But I don't know. I wouldn't say I like crushed or anything. I did, a lot of these fucking readings, like I said, I just get scared, and I sort of am in a place where I'm like playing it safe. I'm just trying not to fuck up. But I had some nice moments. A lot of times that's all you need. If you can have one or two things that like where you really get in the zone, and you go to like a special place and you take the audience on a journey. My dad said that a song is like a magic carpet ride. It's like the audience gets on, you take off, you go around. It's like a whole new world, right? And then, you fly around, you look at it, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you bring it down again. And it's like, that's kind of how, that's kind of what you need to do to an audience. You need to transport them to some degree. And if you're lucky, your poetry can lock into that and really give people like a vivid experience. And, I don't know. For me, it's like what I do is in this weird kind of like Venn diagram between poetry and performance. And to be honest, most of the, I've been a square peg trying to fit into a round hole where it's like I'm going to these readings where it's like that's not what people do. I'm not a slam poet. I can't go there and do that. But I'm not a, academic either where I can just read super boring and dry either. It's like I want to, and kind of what I'm finding is like, it's like performing the poetry like it's stand-up comedy almost. Reading the poem like it's stand-up comedy is sort of like what I'm getting to some degree. That's why I'm doing the comedy, really, is it's almost like a therapeutic kind of like physical therapy or something where it's like if I go and do that, that'll bleed into the poetry readings and make them a little bit it's something that not really there's not that many other poets really doing stand-up comedy that much. I mean, it's becoming more of a thing, I guess. It's an obvious fucking connection to make, but Everybody's just jumping into the stand-up comedy game right now. It's a gold rush. It's a .com boom. So yeah, I mean, I was super honored to be there. Oh god, this towel is like right in the fucking foreground here. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm. This is lo-fi. This is gutter punk. Um, yeah. Then let me. It's then Sunday, the Inspired Word. I mean, it was this incredible lineup. You know, I was super honored. I felt bad because like every all these gigs, it's like I had to kind of beg to get on it. And then I was like, I don't know how to prepare for this stuff really. Like I said, it's like I had my new book. I had my greatest hits book, so I read some kind of classics because. So anyway, yeah, this bill was like insane. It was Lonely Christopher, who's incredible. Jane LaCroix, who's amazing, who does like Poetry Society of New York stuff, and then Alicia Ostriker is like kind of known. So it ended up she didn't even show up. Well, it was a 3-day weekend, but it's like I don't know. One thing everybody's like scheduling their events the same days. I don't know what it is that people subscribe to that they all do their stuff at the same time, but it's like there was a bunch of stuff on this the same time on this day, probably because it was a 3-day weekend, and then there was, like I said, I was double booked on Wednesday, and it's like everybody's. There was another thing on Wednesday besides that, and it's like, in any case, it was like it was a beautiful event. The reading went very well. It was amazing to hear everybody. I like I said, I don't think I knocked it out of the park or anything. I think I got to a nice place a couple times, but I had 4 readings plus the open mic in the span of like 6 days basically. And so part of me is I'm trying to pace myself, and I just didn't want to bomb. I didn't want to do anything that was going to like really weird people out, which, that can happen sometimes, if you go a little too far in one direction or something. And so, I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to do a good job. It was like on a Sunday afternoon. Like I said, I didn't do the greatest reading of my life or anything, but I don't think it wasn't a total disaster or humiliating or anything. But it was a beautiful event, and that venue is super great. And I was honored to, and there was an open mic. Ashley did great, and MCP, shout out to MCP. So it was like super cool day. And I don't know. It's nice to kind of, when you get 10 minutes, it's like, like I said, I don't get booked on stuff that often where I get 10 or 15 minutes. And so the more you do it, the more you kind of, learn to do it. You get in the practice of doing it. And a lot of the pieces that I write are designed for like 2 to 3 minute open mic spots. If I had more spots that were 10 or 15 minutes, I'd probably read longer pieces, or that's one reason why I was reading older stuff, because like I wanted to show people that like a different side, something they might like a little more. At a certain point, especially at like a sober fucking comedy thing or poetry thing, it's like at a certain point it gets old just bombing every time, or like being avant-garde and being like the weirdo. It's like at a certain point you're just like, okay, I you got this group of people there. It is terrifying. It is like everybody's worst fear is like speaking in public, and yet like how do I overcome that? And what when I do, what do I really want to communicate to people? Like I would rather, why not focus on that? What is the message? What is the thing that I want to say to people, rather than, oh my God, they're not gonna like anything that I have to say. It's like there are things that, and a lot of that is about trusting yourself and believing that what you have to say isn't just like obvious and everybody assumes. It's like I don't hear anybody else saying this. And so why don't I have confidence about saying it? A lot of times it is just people copying each other or saying what's safe because it feels like, okay, that's something everybody's talking about. With comedy, it's like, or poetry for that matter, it's like if you go way out of bounds, it's like you do lose the audience. that's what I've seen. You know, when I do my Clifford impression, you know, it's just like uh, sometimes you lose them. You know, if you do, it's just like. But I also think that we are fighting against a landscape of banality, and we are fighting against a super bland culture that wants us to like suppress. It wants everything to be super gray. It wants us to suppress our vision and our individual ideas. They don't want you, you know, they don't want to empower a small business. They don't want you to act on your own ideas. They want you to be reliant on big corporations, on whatever it is. They don't want you to be self reliant. And so having confidence in your ideas and enacting your own ideas is dangerous. You know, particularly if not everybody goes, wow, this guy's great. This guy's amazing. Genius. Bravo. Standing ovation. If you're doing something that is actively going against the grain of everything in the room or weirding people out or whatever, it's like people just think you're a loser. You know, but I mean, a lot of the shit I see in New York that people like is super fucking bland and just like, you know, the culture sucks. It sucked for a long time. I talk about it a lot, you know. My rant about MTV, how MTV changed in the mid 90s. That's pretty much it, you know, it's just like they want a culture that is like just drunken bro fucking what's that Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, the Joker. I don't know. I've bitched about it so much I don't want to like go down that road right now. Yeah, so it was just like a lovely day. We went to American Bar after. I had the meatloaf. It was kind of mid, but it was a beautiful restaurant. And then the open mic was President's Day, like I said. I played an Al Jolson song at the end because it's about Harry S. Truman. Well, it's a personal. Okay, so the song "I'm Just Wild About Harry" it's kind of a part of my personal lore. When I was a little kid, there's like a Daffy Duck cartoon, and he sings "I'm Just Wild About Harry" because it was like a fucking banger in the '40s. You know, "I'm Just Wild About Harry" was like, you know, Hotline Bling or something during World War II. And you know, that's why it's in this Daffy Duck cartoon that I saw when I was like 4 years old or whatever. And so I, as a little kid, I made this video. My Aunt Susie, who was the music teacher at Jones Middle School, um, she brought a video camera, and she's rest in peace, my Aunt Susie. She was amazing. She was a real one, and she was the director of the musical at Jones Middle School for like 25 years, Bears on Broadway. So she kind of was like an open mic. Well, she was a shepherd of a whole artistic community, and the kids loved her. She taught like rock and roll music in Jones Middle School. You know, she had all these posters on the ceiling of her classroom from like Rolling Stone magazine and stuff. It was super cool. And so she got this video camera from her school in like probably 1989 or 90, somewhere in there. Very early, you know, pretty early on for like camcorder technology, really. Home camcorder, you know. And so she one time we were at my grandma's house when I was like 4 or 5 and we she had this camcorder and we filmed all these skits on it, right? This was like a formative experience for me because it was the first time I'd ever been around a camera, in front of a camera or anything, you know? So she set it up in my grandma's living room in front of the mantelpiece, the fireplace, and I just did all the skits from fucking Looney Tunes. I basically pretended like I was Bugs Bunny. I had a carrot, you know, I bit the carrot, I said, "What's up, Doc?" and shit. And then I did "I'm Just Wild About Harry," okay? I sang "I'm Just Wild About Harry," okay? Which is a super gay thing for a 4-year-old to do. That's fine. If I would have done it now, I probably would have gone viral. I'd be fucking You know, who's that little kid on fucking TikTok who sings and his dad's like, oh God. I'd be that kid. I'd be David after the dentist. Oh, did you see that little gay kid singing I Just Well About Harry? Wow, he's the greatest. We love him. Sign that kid to a record contract. I would have been fucking Bieber. I would have been Michael Jackson if I'd been born 20 years later. But no, so I was singing I'm Just Wild About Harry on this fucking video. You know, it's like a shoulder mount. You know, camcorder. Like America's Funniest Home Videos fucking, you know, Bob Saget, early Full House years, camcorder. The, you know, the Boomer Dad. The Boomer Dad special. We gotta film the child's recital. My family did not really have a camcorder. That was like a fluke. She brought it home from school, and we filmed all these skits with it. My mom and all of her sisters did this skit where we played like white trash. I was like the little white trash kid. And they were like doing Saturday Night Live, basically. Like Jan Hooks kind of style, Nora Dunn style, late 80s. And I was like, so it was like a fun day, you know? It was like, that was the magic of cinema for the first time in my life. To actually get a camera at that time, you know, was not that easy. They were, you know, probably thousands of dollars, definitely hundreds of dollars. Now it's like, you know, everywhere, but ubiquitous, cheap, but... So I sang this song, I'm Just Wild About Harry, right? I'm just wild about Harry, Harry's wild. And I never heard the end of this. I mean, my aunt literally, every time I would see her, the rest of my life, she'd go, I'm just wild about Harry. She'd go, Matt, do it. Do I'm Just Wild About Harry. Sing it, come on. I'm just wild about Harry. Because as a little kid, you know, I put my whole ass into it or whatever, you know. As a little kid, you don't really... You're not self-conscious about that stuff, you know. Thank God that Dan Schneider didn't get his hands on me. Thank God the Disney people didn't know about this. This I'm Just Wild About Harry tape. It's been destroyed. Okay, I'm going to talk about embarrassing tapes. Okay, I know this is not interesting to anybody but me, but whatever. This is what I do. The aliens enjoy my vlogs. I'm going to talk about embarrassing videotapes from my childhood. Performances. I've always been an embarrassing, loud, cringe. I've always been cringe, okay? I'm like unexpectedly cringe. I think people expect me to be like John Mayer or something. And then I'm like super cringe and they're like, oh, that's weird. How'd that... Didn't expect that. Thought that guy was going to be super smooth, but whatever. He's cringe. He's loud. So yeah, so I'm Just Wild About Harry is a song that I have a long history with. And, so I played it at the end of the open mic because it's a presidential song. And I mean, not to go into this too much, I guess, but Al Jolson, I think, obviously, is a controversial figure to say the least. But, I mean, look, he spoke the first words on film. The first talkie is like a minstrel show. The first sound movie. I mean, this is something that, you know, I think is very curious and bizarre about American culture, is like the foundation of American culture and like the most popular, everything that American like show business is built on is like the minstrel show. I think that's very weird. Like, what is so entertaining? What was so entertaining about that in the 1800s or the 1700s that like this is what white people like to do? They like to sit there and like paint themselves black and pretend like they're black. Like, that's absolutely fucking insane. That's the most popular thing in like the entirety of our... I guess it's because the white people... It was a way that white people could steal black people's culture. And to be honest, what I will say is like, I'm wondering if it's changed. You know, I think in this, it's really not any different. I mean, the culture still is basically created by the black people in America, and you know, now it's like it doesn't have to be filtered, I guess. You know, back then it was like, you know, they, you know, obviously society was fucked up, and I guess that was how they, like, you know, transposed that culture into like public white people world. You know, that was their way of like making it white, I guess. Um, but and so now it's like, I guess, you know, there's not quite as, you know, and it's like now it's like, you know, a lot of our favorite entertainers, right, are black, you know, but it's still like, I don't know, it's still, it's just weird to me that that is so, and Al Jolson, right, or Elvis, or, you know, or fucking Bob Dylan, you know, I mean, a lot, and in fact maybe the most fucking successful white entertainers, their whole fucking act was ripping off black people. You know, Al Jolson was like the Elvis, I guess, of that time. His act was supposed to be, you know, like, you know, he was really supposed to be like cooking as a live performer, you know, at the Ziegfeld Follies or whatever in fucking 42nd Street. Jolson at the fucking, you know, Lowe's or whatever the fuck it is. And that's just super fucking strange. And it's one of these things. It's like, can you even listen to that music anymore, right? Uh, Al Jolson. Is Al Jolson canceled? The hot takes here on Joe Franklin. Is Al Jolson canceled? Big news today, everybody. Jolson's been canceled. 100 years after he died, they canceled Jolson. Fuck. Ah, I hate this fucking woke mob. They canceled. And no, I don't know. It's obviously a fucking crazy. You know, I'd like to read the Love and Theft book. You know, Bob's album Love and Theft is named after this book that's like all about. I mean, Bob's whole thing is imitating kind of blues stuff, electric blues from Chicago, lead belly kind of stuff. You know, who was Woody Guthrie imitating? I don't know. I mean, maybe it was Woody Guthrie, but in any case, I want to experiment more with the talk pieces at the open mic. I kind of chickened out on Monday. I only did about 5 minutes, but you know, President's Day, any of this stuff is super touchy to talk about. We're in an election year, you know, and we've got two unelectable candidates. You know, one of whom is a criminal who will probably try to take over the government, and the other one is like out to lunch, you know, and pro Israel, or you know, sending. He's asleep at the wheel, sending money over there while, you know, things are really fucking falling apart here pretty quick. I mean, it's not as much money as Bush. You know, those fucking wars were a lot more, but in any case, you know, so that's third show. Tuesday, just for the hell of it. Well, Kuzu Daddy wanted to go to this open mic at Patty Riley's where we had gone a couple weeks. Because it's an amazing, I mean, it's amazing that not more people go to it because it's an amazing sound setup. It's a fucking cool ass venue, but it's in Kips Bay. So it's like, it's kind of a weird location. I love that part of town. But yeah, Kuzu Daddy wanted to get up and perform there on the sound system there. So, you know, even though I had two shows the next day, I was like, the hell with it, let's go. You know, we drove up there, we did Patty Riley's, I played 3 songs. You know, and I was nervous. I don't know. You know, it's like it takes a second to warm up. These open mics, you know, they're not the best circumstance as a performer. It's just like you gotta wait. You're nervous the whole time. You don't get to warm up or anything. You kind of, with reading or anything, it takes 5 or 10 minutes to get into the zone, to get to a place where you're really rolling. I don't know. Is this a terrible fucking live stream? You got to do what you got to do. I mean, I'm just pushing it out. There's no way to prepare for this. That's what I'm realizing. It's like I write all this shit down and stuff. It wouldn't do any good. I can't change my method. The method is like part of the point. The fact that it's improv, the fact that it's not riffing. I hate the term riffing. It's word jazz. Jason T. Cucker had an interesting... I mean, where has Jason T. Cucker been? That's what I want to know. We need Jason T. Cucker back. He's amazing. I haven't seen him in forever. He was asking me if there was a name for, like, when you have poetry with, like, sound behind it. Like, that maybe music or, like, sound collage. There's a name for that. Beyond, I don't know what the hell you'd call it. I mean, to me, a lot of my work has been kind of in that spectrum and kind of exploring that, reading with sound behind it, all different kinds of sound. The difference between writing lyrics, singing with the band, or like improvising lyrics with the band, or reading your poetry over a band, or reading poetry over like noise. Playing with Sarah, right? She would play sax, I would read, so it wasn't necessarily at the same time, but it was kind of a conversation, a back and forth. The links between poetry and jazz, or just like improvisation in general. You see that in movies a lot too, is combining music with the dialogue or like a soundtrack, sound effects. That's creating kind of a fictional circumstance, environment. And, the open mic. I love Wayne Kassenbaum's Sprechstein pieces. That's something, it's just like, with all these performances, I feel like afterwards I get all the good ideas. Like with the President's Day one, I thought of all these good ideas after. I was like, oh, I could have done, this or that, and it was like, or with this, I know afterwards I'm gonna be like, oh my god, what, I said all this stupid shit, I didn't get to anything I wanted to talk about. I don't know how to plan. It's just like the important shit will arise, or, so, like Wayne Kassenbaum's Sprechstein pieces, this is something I definitely should have done at KGB. He has like these essays basically, but he's also a pianist, and he like kind of like, I mean, Wayne Kassenbaum, if you don't know his work, is really just an example of a polymath. To use kind of a tainted word, but also he just shows kind of synesthesia. Like he makes these films, he puts them on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram if you don't follow him on Instagram. He makes these films he puts his paintings on the film. They're so colorful. They're kind of animated. The way he dresses is super colorful and like, amazing, kind of artistic. His hair is kind of dyed. His glasses. He publishes books of poetry, essays, thought. I've got a book that he wrote about opera. I've got a book that he wrote about Harpo Marx. He's got a book about Andy Warhol. He's kind of he's an intellectual, there's not that many American intellectuals of Wayne Kassenbaum's, it's a dying breed. But a lot of people want to be that, but Wayne Kassenbaum he's the real deal. He teaches at SVA or no, CUNY Grad Center, or maybe Hunter. He does these Sprechstein pieces where he plays piano while he reads, but like the piano follows the syllables of his sentences. So it's very like connected. that's the kind of stuff I'd like to do at KGB, you know. But like I said, there's this fear, there's this kind of block, there's this like hiccup. Even though I've done that show, what, 70 times now, it's been over a year, there's still things that like on Monday, it was like, I'm going to do a whole talk piece. I didn't plan anything. I thought I'd talk about, I don't know, the presidency or something. But I ended up just kind of, I don't know, I probably uttered like a few kind of platitudes about politics and how it sucks and this and that. And then I was done after like 5 minutes, you know, which normally I go in a lot longer. So, in that sense, it was kind of an L. You know, it's like on stage, I do think it's important to like push yourself. You know, it's just like working out. It's like you always want to go further. You always want to do more. You want to try something new, try something different. I don't know. Maybe I need to get out of that mindset and get more into like just do a good job every time. You know, like, okay, so what I'm going to say is these gigs are auditions for future gigs, right? Everything you do is an elevator pitch for who you are. And so, well, with gigs especially, I know it just empirically. First of all, in New York, you never know who's in the audience. Even if there's only 5 people in the audience, one of them might be the guy from Google Bordello. Not that that's going to mean anything, but you never know. You know, and every show you do, if you do a good job, people will book you. You know, if you crush, and I don't crush. I probably once every, you know, if you do enough shows, you crush every couple weeks. It feels great to do a great show. I mean, there's few satisfactions more fulfilling than like when you walk out of a show that there was a lot of people at, you read your original fucking poetry and you like crushed with people. Like few things can fucking rival that satisfaction in life, you know? Like not even that many people can even do that probably. And actually say something that is cool and original and means something. So you're in the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, okay? Already. It's kind of a cool angle. I kind of like this. It's Tim Burton. It's like, you know, Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Purim over here. Nightmare Before Hanukkah. I'm kidding because I love. Oh my god, am I becoming too much of a comedian? Comedian poet, you know, it's like these two things feel. The comedians are so like just, they're just like, they're just like punching ham, you know. It's just like they're kind of rough and the poets are like, you know, lilies, orchids. Yeah, so it's always, you know, if you're able to do a fucking great job, usually 2 or 3 people will come up to you and be like, wow, I want to get you on this gig, or, you know, can I, it, especially for selling books, right? One of the rules of life, okay, this is a rule of life that people should know in the homeschool. This is a homeschooling process, by the way. My vlogs can function as a homeschool for your child in lieu of a K through 12. I'm an accredited GED alternative. My vlogs. So don't even send your fucking kid to regular school. It's bullshit. Just have them watch the Matt Proctor vlogs on YouTube. It's equivalent to K through 12 education. Okay, this is the real fucking shit. And so I'm gonna teach you something right now. The rules of life. Okay, if you get a positive reaction, that's when you can move forward with things. Just as a rule of thumb. If you get a negative reaction, you cannot move forward. But when you get a positive reaction from people, that's like gates opening. That's when you can sell things. You know, if you're a waiter or whatever, if you get people to laugh, you get them to smile, whatever, that is when you pitch whatever it is you're trying to pitch. Because you want people that essentially That's what readings have become, kind of, is like book sales. You know, it's like you're trying to sell your book. You're on your book tour. And so if you do a fucking amazing reading, and everybody goes, "Oh my god, I have to have this," you know, they will pay you. You know, people will fucking they want to pay you. You know, people would give me $20 for my fucking book, but if you do a bad reading, no one's gonna want to buy your book. Or you know, maybe you'll get some pity buys or something, but you know, I do feel like, you know, I did a good job at all of my readings. I had people come up to me with nice things to say. I met cool people, um, I wasn't as much of a monster social disruptor kamikaze pilot as I normally am. And so that was good. I want to be better to people. I want to be a better social presence and friend and just, not be such a weirdo in conversation. And so smoking a little bit less weed helps a lot. It's kind of the key. It's hard to have that discipline. Like I said, I had to get this fucking cavity. That's what's driven me to this. Otherwise, I would be fucking smoking my dick off. Believe that. But it's nice. Moderation. This is my advertisement for moderation. Okay, so what else? So yeah, okay, then Tuesday we went to Patty Riley's. Why the fuck not? Let's do 4 in a row. Even though Wednesday I had the doubleheader. So Wednesday, I didn't know what to expect. I went into it, okay, I've booked a few events at Jefferson Market Library, and I've been to other people's events at Jefferson Market Library, and I've seen some well-attended things and this and that, but it's always early in the evening. It's at 6 p.m. It's over by 8. And so in my head, I'm thinking, like, there's only so much you can do. I wasn't that nervous about it because, well, first of all, I had all these other things. So it's like, how was I going to prepare for any of it, really? I did the best that I could. I did go through my stuff. I read stuff. I reread it. I marked it. I picked out stuff beforehand. And then I felt like Peyton Manning. At all these readings, I felt like Peyton Manning because I was calling fucking audibles. The day of, I'm like, okay, I'm switching this out. I'm doing this. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this first. Then we're going to switch to Is Life Real? Boom, we're not going to do that. Are we going to do, yeah, I'm doing Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses, go, go. Chinese Democracy, Chinese Democracy. So I threw Chinese Democracy in just on the fly, A very controversial, that could have bombed, So you never know what, to some degree, it is just like throwing the dice. The more shows you do, the more you can get lucky, and the more comfortable you get in front of an audience, and you do get more hyped, and I do need to be out more. I do want to do more shit, I wish, that's why I complained about people booking me stuff, because it is hard for me to get to things if I can't get away from certain circumstances, if you know what I mean. Help, send help, send help. I'm blinking, send help. Rescue me. Somebody, please. This is a cry for help. Just kidding. Not really. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so anyway, when you have a lot of things coming at you, you don't have that much time to be nervous. I think there's something that's healthy about that too. There is something to be said for just like, all right, I'm doing this and here we go and bam, If this would have happened to me, 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, I would have been super fucking nervous for all of it. And I probably would have bombed at all of it. But it's just like, the open mic helps a lot. Doing it every week and being in front of that many people, you do kind of get a little bit, I don't get as nervous. Reading in front of 50 or 60 people, I would have been fucking nervous 2 years ago. But now I'm kind of, in that, that's the point of doing it, is you want to get acclimated to that as much as possible. Like, I don't want to go out in front of an audience and feel like this kind of death ray of like, oh, I'm having this weird kind of conflicting energy thing with the audience. It's like, how do I open myself to them? How do I make myself vulnerable? You know, it's like, especially, you know, maybe some audiences don't want to like you, you know? In New York, it feels that way. You know, that's why a lot of these comedians move and shit. I had a guy on YouTube the other day comment, New York's taking you for granted. You should move to Austin, Texas. Like Joe Rogan. You know, all these comedians moved out of LA because the audience, you know, has not as good of a sense of humor as before. Shall we say. But in any case, people are more sensitive, people are more uptight. And so it is kind of gnarly as a performer to get up there and fucking bomb or you say something that's like, Jesus Christ. You know, I definitely censor what I write and police what I say at these readings because I don't want to say something that's going to, you know, really bounce super hard off of, you know, the audience and make them all hate me, basically. So at this one, it was like, I did not know what to expect. It was earlier in the day, and so I marked a bunch of stuff. I prepared. I planned my stuff out. But like I said, I didn't time it. I didn't even know how much time I had. I just planned about 10 minutes or so, you know. And we didn't know that. You never know the order. You never know when you're going up, you know. And so it is kind of just like, an anxiety fucking ridden scary thing every time you do it. We're just like, oh God, you know, I'm nervous, I'm scared, am I gonna bomb in front of these 50 people? I mean, a lot of people came to this thing. Like the room was packed, it was all cool people, it was all, you know, Monique's friends are amazing. Shout out to Monique. It was an amazing event. It was so beautiful. And so she put me on last. Even though I had another thing afterwards. So it was like, you know, I'm kind of used to going last. I like going last just because most people are gone by that point. But not at this thing. I mean, it was like, you know, the event was only an hour long. And so it was kind of like, you know, I had to deliver. You know, I'm going last. Well, I was the last poet. I guess Norman Salant went last. So I guess I didn't really go last. But I was the last poet. I went after Jeff Wright, who's like an amazing poet. Shout out to Jeff Wright. The amazing. And so it's like, oh, fuck, I'm going after Jeff Wright. I got to do a good job. He wanted to go first, but in any case, yeah, as I'm sitting there in the room, you know, with the 50 people or whoever that are there, like I said, I'm calling audibles. I'm thinking, oh, okay. And I narrowed it down. You know, originally I had 4 or 5 different things. I narrowed it down. I'm just going to read these 3 fucking things. You know, bang, bang. Keep it simple. Get up, get in, get out. You know, I kind of find that with longer pieces, it's easier to kind of settle into it and to really kind of hypnotize yourself and like, and, you know, if you have a longer, you know, runway, maybe halfway into the poem, you'll break into a deeper emotional resonator, you know, and that's something that an audience is going to remember, you know, if you can, and it, you know, I've done a few different readings in that room, right, and so I'm comfortable in that space, pretty much no matter what happens, you know, and I've bombed enough times that it's like, okay, I'm not going to read anything that's like going to be super soft and like waste people's time. Like I'm going to get in everything I'm going to read is going to be a, you know, strong-ish for me. I try not to write too strong. I don't really like that. It's fascist, like Crash Davis says. Strikeouts are boring besides they're fascist. That's how I feel about strong writing. Strong writing is boring besides it's fascist. Like, I do want to be like a puddle or something. Like I want to be like a rain puddle in like a parking lot that's like surrounding your car. With a bunch of like berries and like leaves in it from the tree, the flower buds. Poetry, you can go into poetry at any time, kids. All of life is a poem. That's what my shit is about. It's all fucking poetry. It's all appreciation for nature and consciousness and how it dances on our consciousness and our senses. How it plays the delicate little melodies across the instruments of our senses. And we try to organize them into our futile little meanings. But generally, what I found is that audiences are kind, you know, and they're not judging you as hard as you're judging yourself. If you have some corny joke or something, they'll probably love it. If you sell it and you love it, and you're good intentioned about how you do it, um, so I don't know. I mean, I was just trying to stay present and you know, just be in a good headspace for when I did have to go up there, rather than get myself psyched out and be like, oh fuck, I got a crush. And like I said, I wasn't that high. If I was super fucking high, I probably would have been 10 times more nervous. I probably would have been like, oh my god, Jesus Christ. There's all these people here, and supposedly Jenna Maloney from The West Wing was supposed to be there because I mean, our friends are cool. They know people that are like sort of famous. They know Sean Lennon and shit, but like apparently Monique is in a writing group. Jenna Maloney was on The West Wing. She was, I don't even know. She was one of the fucking aides or something. I don't know. But she's in a writing group with Monique. And so she was supposed to come to this reading. I'm not sure if she did, but that's what I'm saying. Celebrities will come to your reading if you read in downtown New York long enough. Maybe somebody from The West Wing or Google Bordello will be at your reading. So, yeah, I went up there. I read my Guns N' Roses poem. I don't know. I felt centered about. I wanted to deliver a certain message to the room. You know, I felt comfortable. The people were there. You know, I feel super comfortable with. They're smart. They're hip. You know, it's interesting to get to know Monique and Leia and Jordan and Ethan because I feel like they like made and participated in the culture that like you know shaped me or like shaped popular consciousness sort of in this country growing up and like that's you know moving into that was like part of you know reading Vanity Fair or reading about Walrus you know at the Standard Hotel or fucking Vincent Gallo or you know whoever these kind of downtown ultra hip but you know at that time they were still kind of obscure. You know, it wasn't these people were not like famous to everybody, but like certain, you know, there's if you read Vanity Fair or if you read the fucking New Yorker or whatever the fuck it is, you know, if you were a hipster, you know, the last analog beings, the hipsters, um, you know. And so I thought, you know, they'll get my references, they'll get what I'm talking about. I was originally going to read my war poem, but I was like, maybe not. You know, so I shifted it around and like, and I don't know, I just felt comfortable and, you know, I just got lucky. You know, I was in a good mood. You know, like, she was very nice about the whole thing, about how she set me up. And so I was kind of, it was just teed up in a really amazing way. And I was so happy, you know, to be there doing it, you know. I mean, I wish I would have dressed a little better. I was wearing this, and now I'm looking at the pictures, and I mean, the thing is, this is like downtown poet chic. You know, if you see like Sparrow, or you see like these older poets like Tom Savage or Bob Rosenthal, it's like they dress like this. Or Philip, you know, Philip Core. Shout out to Philip. You know, Philip Core is like, you know, I wear the same clothes until they like wear out, basically. and then I put something new on until that wears out. Like that, like they did, you know, in the fucking before planned obsolescence, or you know, like they did in the 1800s. Who said? Why do you need new clothes every day? But I don't know. I wish I would have dressed a little nicer. My shit was like wrinkly in a way that's like, I do kind of look a little more homeless than maybe. Not that that's a bad thing. I think that homeless are brave. I've talked about that in my last live stream. What else? Yeah, so I don't, I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn here. Like I said, the odds here, you know, sometimes you do good, sometimes you do, and sometimes you bomb. I mean, it was one of the best readings I've ever done. To be honest, there were so many people there. I mean, it wasn't huge, you know, it wasn't like 100 fucking people or something, but it was like, you know, the room was full. It was smart people, it was cool people. I was, you know, going on last. You know, so if, you know, if I would have fucking face planted or something, it wouldn't have been that fun. It wouldn't have been the worst thing that ever happened to me or anything, but I've bombed in front of a lot of people before. But I don't know. I just feel I like, you know, I love them as people, and so I just trusted it. You know, it was fine. And like I said, I wasn't really, you know, when I'm not high, I'm pretty chill. I'm actually pretty secure, you know. It's when I get high that I get like super like, you can feel that shaky kind of like Doug energy. Yeah, so I think, I don't know. I kind of crushed. I mean, I kind of crushed. I'm not, I shouldn't, I don't, I mean, it's not, you can watch the tape. I put it on YouTube. You know, it's not the greatest. It could have been a little zoomed in, a little more, but I kind of crushed. But, you know, I was immediately humbled because I had to get to this next gig, like, immediately. You know, I crushed. I didn't even really get, you know, we would love to have gone out afterwards. Everybody went out after. You know, I would have loved to have done that. Like I said, I thought these were 2 different days. I accidentally double booked it. So we had to immediately get to the next thing, pretty much. And so the library closes like it's a hard 8. So we were out of there at 8. We got on the fucking L train pretty much immediately. The fucking L went express to Broadway Junction, so we had to take it back. So as soon as I got, it was at this place Unruly Collective, which is an amazing space. You know, Brooklyn is lucky to have these kind of art collectives kind of here and there, like Quincy Adam or the Slooge was like that. There's a bunch. So this was Unruly Collective. Jason Trachtenberg, shout out to Jason Trachtenberg, the legend. I do want to talk a little bit about, he booked me on it, so I was super, you know, he's amazing. He's super talented. He's a great songwriter and musician. Check out his songs on Spotify. I put them on my regular playlists. They're that good. You know, I actually listen to them just like their regular music. It's not even about like supporting my friends. I'm actually like, oh, this is good. I'll listen to this. Like next to Glenn Fry or whatever. Or Janet Jackson. I've been trying to get into Janet. I'm into Michael Jackson lately. I don't know. TikTok kind of like Michael Jackson pilled me. Corey Feldman, Michael Jackson pilled me. But I'm on Wayne Newton talk. It's you know, it's hardcore. Wayne Newton sounds like John King. Wayne Newton's voice is like, rah, pretty fucking metal. He should just join a metal band. He plays banjo. Just put a fucking like big muff on your banjo and join like some Swedish death metal band. Wayne Newton will immediately become relevant again. Wayne Newton painted his face like he was in Dimmu Borgir or something. Wow, Wayne Newton kicks ass. Daddy, don't you walk so fast. Don't the chain. Yeah, so okay, I do want to talk. So I get there, I immediately had to go up. I had no time to prepare at all. This is what I mean. I had no time in the room at all. And I had picked some things out beforehand, but you know, I rode the train over with Ashley. So it's like, I probably would have looked at my stuff on the train and sort of picked out what I was doing. But like I said, it would have been nice to have, 10 or 15 minutes in the room to just sort of like uh, gauge what the fuck I was doing. Then, like, it was my uh, uh, condition to incorporate into my practice, but I did not do that very well. I kind of, and I just got nervous. I mean, like I said, it's a whole different crowd. You're in Manhattan. I'm above ground. I'm at this podium. There's this gold curtain behind me. I'm on a stage. I've been in this room a bunch of times. E. Cummings, Jefferson Market Library. It's incredible. It's this magical fucking location. It looks like Richard Scarry's Busy Town. It's absolutely, angelic location. It looks like heaven. It's above ground. I'm on a stage. I'm at a lectern. It felt like church. To be honest, that's one of the reasons why I felt like I read so well. Because I'm like, this space is just like easy to read to. It's like it's lofty. The acoustics are good. I can look out at the audience and kind of look over their heads. I had this amazing moment with Francine where I was talking about how I'm a lawyer. I had an epiphany the other day that I'm a lawyer. My mom, I thought I was going to be a lawyer in kindergarten. I drew this picture that said, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up. And I realized I am a lawyer. I'm a lawyer on behalf of beauty. I'm a lawyer on behalf of life. My poems are my arguments. So, yeah, I'm constantly making rhetorical arguments, trying to persuade people in public rhetoric, This is kind of a lawyer thing, I guess. And I'm constantly talking about the government and the law and blah, blah, blah. NVIDIA stock, right? I'm rich now, are you? I bought my NVIDIA. I'm putting it all into AI, guys. Fuck human creativity. I'm going to get goddamn rich off AI and the world's most sophisticated graphics card. Oh my god. Don't let the graphics card people win. We've let the graphics card nerds win. When I was in middle school, I thought graphics cards were like an anomaly. I thought that was going to be like, this is like a perfunctory kind of like formal. They'll get this. This is a wrinkle. They're going to get this ironed out. No more graphics cards. How wrong I was. People want that. They want Alienware. They want totally customizable. They don't want Mac. So I'm in the minority of, the libertarian. I'm not a libertarian. Fuck the libertarians. I'm in the Green Party, okay? I'm a registered member of the Green Party, okay? I want to let that be known. I'm a yippie. I'm with Jerry Peel. We're radicals, goddammit. This is New York. We are supposed to be maybe I'm just like some kind of laughable, outdated cliche. Okay, yeah, so anyway, this room, I felt like I was above this not above, but like, the lectern is wood and, it was bright, And so it just felt clean and churchy, which, I'm a Catholic priest, really. When you get down to it, I'm a Catholic priest. Somebody said the other day on a TikTok comment, which is where I, see, that's the real third place in our society is the TikTok comments, the YouTube comments. And they said, we need a new church, except not religious. I was like, that's open mic. Yeah. It's poetry, it's open mic. It's music, it's a secular liturgy, it's sacred text. It's praise, it's celebratory, it's feast day. It's ritualistic. Monique gave me these cookies. because they had an amazing spread. I mean, they really did a good job with this event. I mean, maybe that's why nobody comes to my events, because they can tell they're just going to be totally half-assed. But she did a good job. They had they had good food. People had books on the back table. They had a videographer. They had a video installation. They had nice programs. They really did a nice. You could tell they put some time and thought into it, and so people kind of wanted to see it. Whereas like with my shit, it's just like, I mean, I half-ass everything at the last minute. We know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody who watches my YouTube probably knows that. How did people feel about the camera at the open mic that I film it with, by the way? Would people want a more high-def image, or do they like the kind of lo-fi fingerprint? I'm just curious. In the comments, if anybody ever sees this, please let me know in the comments how you feel about the camera that I use to film my events. If it's just too shitty, and if it'd be nice to have something better. I kind of like that it's distinct. It's a look that nobody else has, and it's very, I think lo-fi, it's, it is a weapon. It is a statement, Maybe it's misguided, but, I'm trying to show that you don't need money. It's a class war to me. Still, it's all class warfare. Still. Until we're all free, no one is free from jobs. And I just think self-driving cars is just the stupidest thing ever. I mean, if they want to do that, okay, fine. But it's really not important. It's not high. They've been talking about it. I've literally been hearing about it for over fucking 10 years. Oh, they got these self-driving cars. Why? Who can't put more effort? There's so many problems that are not being solved. Who cares if the fucking cars can drive themselves? Like, we need more fucking high-speed maglev trains. Everybody knows this. We need more mass transit. Fuck the cars. I want to be able to take a high-speed train to Columbus, Ohio for fucking Thanksgiving. That's civilization. I'd love to be, fuck this self-driving car shit. It's so idiotic. I can't stand it. I don't know why they think that's so important. It's just another way of automating jobs and stealing wealth. We're getting so fucked with the wealth that is being stolen from us right in front of us. And what are we going to do? We're getting desperate. It's getting desperate. There's an abundance that is not being shared. It's being hoarded pointlessly, senselessly. I can't live with this. I need to speak on this. We could all have a nice life if it weren't for the extreme sociopathic, psychopathic greed of a few people, like Vince McMahon or Trump or the hyper-capitalists. They all are, like Vince McMahon, they feed on bad energy. They want to take shits on people's head and humiliate people and they get off on destroying people's lives. They get off on fucking things up and suffering, winning. Anyway, let the healing begin, okay? Let the open mic third place church heal you. Practice your art, write your poetry, sing, sound your yawp. It's a healing vibration, these vibrations, peace, humming, music, Tai Chi. I used to do Tai Chi. I used to have this whole, it was really like a self-help regimen. Meditation, yoga, Tai Chi. I would do like Om type shit, clearing my chakras. I need to get back into that. Stretching. you know, this is part of the stage practice, I guess, part of the artistic practice. You know, maybe one reason my work is so frenetic, nervous, hyperverbal, neurotic, blabbering, yapping. That's what people are saying that we're doing. We're just yapping. Let there be yapping, god damn it. Let's listen to each other. It's cathartic. Get it out. I don't feel alone. We're all neurodivergent here, okay? That's everybody's favorite word now. What the fuck does it mean? There's all these terms like, oh, we're neurodivergent. That just what? That just means that you're not a NPC. Oh, I'm neurodivergent, meaning I don't think like the sheeple. You know, I'm autistic. I don't know. I do think that there's certain things. Okay, this is one thing that this book is really good about. I recommend this book to everybody. This On Poetry and Finance book by Bifo Berardi. But he just dismantles the whole economic theory because you know this is something I've always believed, but you know my whole life, especially in Ohio, especially growing up around Ayn Rand people, they insist that this Milton Friedman idea of free market is like a natural law or something. Like it's like fucking gravity. Like, oh, if you print more money, there will be inflation. And it's like, or like the market just has to be totally free. There can be no government price fixing or constraints or, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like there's no truth to that whatsoever. It's all bullshit. Anything that they tell you about economics is all fucking bullshit. It's all bullshit, okay? They destroy food. They dump milk out because when people are starving to keep an artificial scarcity, you know? It's like these people are just they want to get hyper rich. And so they insist that there has to be this free market where they can do whatever the fuck they want. It's all bullshit. They're stealing our money. That's what the stock market is. They're just pissing in our face every day when we see, oh, the market's doing so great. The economy's doing great. It's not the economy. It's the fucking stock market. Very few people own any of that shit. And not the vast majority of working people. We don't have any stake in that whatsoever. In fact, the wealth that we're creating is being stolen and given to those people. That's what the stock market is. They're taking all of the value that the fucking company creates and giving it to shareholders. It should be given to the fucking workers, you know? Then there would be a higher standard of living. Our standard of living, our way of life, our quality of life has been fucking destroyed over the last decade. It's insane. It's hyper accelerated in the past few years. The fact that we're even able to keep this poetry stuff alive. I mean, I'm still wondering if this is just like, you know, are we on the fumes of like the pandemic? How long can this last? You know, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen in New York. I do want to talk about the migrant situation. It's hard to know how truthful this is. Is it propaganda? Is it just a fucking story to like, maybe I should talk about Jason Trachtenberg and shit. And their story is incredible. Well, this event, okay, I do want to talk about, I'm talking about this migrant thing right now, so I'm going to talk about it. You know, I don't know if this is just propaganda. I see this on TikTok. Supposedly they're giving, what is it, $10,000 debit cards to the people who are living in the hotels in Midtown or in the shelter system or whatever it is. You know, they're renting hotels in Midtown. They're giving them $1,000 a month. They have Medicaid. They have the health insurance that I have. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just wondering, you know, it seems to me like they're giving them the money so there isn't like violence, to be honest. Because I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I was in the fucking subway the other day. I thought a couple guys were going to try to rob me. There were two guys with masks. I came down on the platform. They saw me. I had my Sennheiser microphone in my backpack, had all my cameras and shit. I had $100 from the open mic because they gave me a $100 bill at the end if I get paid. and there's no bank machine open at that point, and so I've got $100. I've got my Sennheiser wireless mic, which is probably worth a couple $100. So these two guys see me and they start following me. I'm the only. Oh well, when I get to the platform, the train had literally just left. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'd gone to Popeye's Chicken. I got the fucking. Oh, it was delicious. The half and half chicken and seafood, surf and turf, from Popeye's Chicken. And so I get to the fucking platform. The train had literally just left. And so I'm the only person on the platform. These two guys shows up wearing masks. They see me with my mic and shit, and they start coming at me. So I go upstairs. I go to this platform. I go around back. I start running. I'm on Canal Street. So I effectively go over the tracks to the other side where there's a few people. And they came up the stairs, and they were looking for me, and they started coming after me. But when I got to the other platform, there was like a few other people. I'm like running. Because it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, the subway has definitely changed. Like, granted, I really was not riding it when I lived in that apartment very much. I didn't ride it that often, but when I did, it wasn't that bad. But now it's like there's a lot of people living on the subway, and it's just not fun to go down there after fucking midnight or something. It's a little edgy. And so I'm like running with all this shit. I've got my coat on, my 3-piece suit, my fucking hat, my scarves. I'm sweating. I'm like, ugh. But, I kind of outsmarted them. I don't know. Maybe I'm just high and I'm paranoid, but I didn't want to take any chances. So then I walk back. So then, when I get to the other platform, then I see the fucking train is coming in my station. So I start running to get back to it. So I run all the fucking way back over to the other side, hoping these guys aren't over there waiting for me or whatever. And I get there, and I hear the train honking, which means it's not going to stop. So it just goes through the fucking station. It didn't even stop. So I had to wait on the platform for literally like 10 minutes. There were a couple other people on the platform at that point, so I was kind of feeling a little bit less vulnerable, but at the same time, it's just like, it's getting weird out there. And, if there's a lot of desperate people, who the fuck knows? I wish they'd give me fucking $10,000. But it feels like, is that... this is like the ultimate Republican talking point, right? Is like, we need to build a wall. And we're going to make them, because there's going to be invasion. They're not sending their best. They're sending MS-13. This is all, I'm not saying the motherfucker was right. I am not saying that. I'm just saying this is like, it's like how the pandemic is like sort of in a certain way the Democrat, like, it's the ultimate way to just like make Trump look incompetent. It's like this migrant thing, or the homelessness crisis, the thing that's happening to that's what I see in the comment sections of all these videos. You elected Biden, this is what you get, kind of thing. Elect Biden, this is what you deserve. Vote blue, this is what these blue cities get. These stupid blue cities get what was coming to them. They try to be like, no borders, open border, blah, blah, blah. This is what you get. You get, now what? And I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing a bunch of fucking propaganda. You live in New York, though, so you do kind of see some of this stuff firsthand. And all I'm saying is, what is the effect of the city? What is the thinking here? Like I said, to me, it seems like they're trying to bribe them so there isn't like a crisis. Keep people... To be honest, that's the way the government reacted during the pandemic, basically, right? It gave everybody a bunch of money and, kind of tried to stabilize the situation in that way. So maybe this is just the way the government reacts to things. But it's the ultimate Republican talking point, because it's like, why did those people get that and I don't get that? I'm a fucking citizen. I don't get money. And where's the fucking money for the artists? Where's my $10,000 grant? You know, where's my $1,000 fucking debit card for? Give it to everybody is what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't give it to them. I'm saying give it to everybody. You know, they've got the money. Take it from the rich people. Take it from the space fucking billionaires. You know, in a certain way, it's almost like they're privatizing huge portions of the government by giving these guys shitloads of money. They're like privatizing the space program, basically. It's like, okay, we're gonna let Bezos have $300 billion or Elon Musk have $300 billion because then that'll be like a private Blue Origin or whatever the fuck it is, and that's instead of NASA doing it, it's private. We got the Tesla people. They're the smartest people. I saw something. Okay, Toyota is the greatest car. Period. Toyota Camry, greatest car ever made, as far as I'm concerned. The Toyota Camry is the greatest car ever made. Here's what I saw Toyota says about electronic vehicles is they make, I think they make hybrids. They don't do electronic vehicles because the carbon footprint that it takes to make one fucking Tesla is as big as it takes to make 30 hybrids because of, I don't know, the shipping or something. Tesla gets all its parts from all these different fucking places and this and that. So they can make 30 fucking hybrids for the same carbon footprint that it takes to make one Tesla. And so it's actually better for the environment for them to make all the fucking hybrids. You know, I'm not into the fucking Tesla. I think Elon Musk, it's all bullshit. We're being force-fed a lot of things in our culture, and we're being told that it's like a meritocracy. You know, we're being told Elon Musk is the smartest, richest guy in the world, but it's all bullshit. It's all propped up. You know, they prop him up with these stock valuations and shit. None of these ideas are his. He's just the fucking poster boy. He's the Lex Luthor, right? God damn it. YouTube killed my live stream. I had 5 people watching, and they just killed it. I mean, I don't know. I thought I'm getting into some good shit. Can I eat real fast? Is that... Maybe this is going to be a mukbang video real fast, okay? I'm going to eat some of my delicious food in front of you while I talk. Maybe that'll make it more interesting for people. Oh, wow, he's doing something different. Oh, fuck, I'm at 20% power. Okay, all right, let me talk about the rest of this gig. Okay, yeah, so I had to go on pretty much right away, which I'm fine with. Like I want to be in a place where I'm flexible and I can perform in all different circumstances, or at least have that experience, you know? Boom, I'm here, I gotta go up right now, fine. I'm gonna do it, let's do it. If that's what needs to happen, yes. We got there at like 9 o'clock, so we were, you know, we did the best that we could. I didn't know they were gonna put me on last of the thing. And so I had to go right up. I literally did not know what I was going to read pretty much at all. And I made a couple of mistakes, which were just like dumb mistakes, which like, I read this one poem out of my diary, which I had typed up in my book. And, you know, it was dark up there. My diary's small. It's my handwriting. I hadn't really reviewed it beforehand. I mean, one thing I like to do is I like to scan the poem beforehand, just kind of sort of mentally walk through it in my head, just so nothing, you know, I can see if there's any, I don't want anything to surprise me in front of everybody, really, because it can derail you. And so as I'm reading this poem, because it had an earlier part which I wanted to add on to it, which wasn't in my other book that I typed up, and so I read it out of my notebook. And as I'm reading it, I realized the version I typed up in my notebook is different. You know, I edited stuff out. I, you know, changed stuff. And so as I'm reading it, I'm like stumbling and I'm like, you know, I'm not sure what to leave out and what I changed. And so I'm like kind of doing that math in my head in front of everybody. You know, and it's like it's okay. So first of all, it's in this basement. It's dark. You know, it was pretty full. I'd say there was, you know, 20, 30 people there. And, you know, it's like there's this weird pink light, and it's a very different circumstance than the previous reading, right? And I hadn't really gotten to go over my material in between because I was on the train with Ashley. Ashley was on the reading too, so, you know, she was prepared. Um, so as I'm doing, I'm kind of flying blind, and I'm kind of like, kind of fucking some things up and stumbling through some. It wasn't my great. I was a little nervous. I kind of shrank. The audience was pretty. I didn't really get a good look at the audience because they had like a green room upstairs. They had a really nice upstairs with these paintings and like a couch, and so we were basically hanging out up there because I had just done a show where I'd killed. So I was kind of still like trying to ride that high, and I was still kind of decompressing. But I wanted to participate, you know, because I loved being on, you know, being invited, and it was an amazing show, you know. So I felt bad about that, you know. But oh, now people are watching. Okay, great. It's because I started doing mukbang. Is that why? Here, I'm doing mukbang ASMR for everybody. Um, you hear that? Um, so yeah, so I had to go right on. I kind of stumbled through it. It wasn't my greatest reading. It wasn't terrible. I maybe, you know, to some degree it's like if you do it enough, you do get better. So it's like, you know, my not so good now might be a lot better than my not so good a year ago was, you know. I would have liked to have done better, but I was a little nervous, you know. It was like I knew I wasn't probably going to do as good as I had just done, and um it was just a different experience. I didn't know anybody in the audience, and you know, Bushwick. It was like what is it? Wilson. It was like fucking near Purgatory and all of that stuff. It was like deep, like cool part of Brooklyn near Halsey Stop, Wilson Stop. Nowadays, all of that stuff. You know, I rarely go out there. TVI is out there. You know, I'm not that. That's like that's never. There's this core of Brooklyn that is like where the hippest things happen. You know, Bushwick, Ridgewood, that area, and I've just never been that guy. I've never been. I've never lived there really. To me, I don't know that whole. Maybe that is the hottest part of the culture, but I don't know. It's a little too high school or something. I don't know. It's just like the edgiest of the edgy. There's a lot of pretenders. But maybe I'm just a fucking hater. I am, I guess. Whatever. Um, and so, I don't know. All of that is what's in my head when I'm. Oh, great. I lost all my viewers. Great. 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 Because I started talking negative about Bushwick. Is that what it was? You know, I lived in Park Slope forever. Now I live in Midwood. You know, it's like. I don't know. There's a lot more to New York than fucking Bushwick. Um. So anyway, you know, I did the best I could. I wouldn't say I killed or anything. It was a little. It wasn't the worst reading I've ever done. I wasn't like humiliated or anything, but like I could tell all that shit I said earlier about selling your books or creating good energy. I could tell that that didn't really happen. No one was like, you know, a big indicator of that is people film you and shit, right? If people film you, that means you're probably doing a good job. Um, and so there was no one filming me really. Let's just say that. Spontaneously, other than Ashley, you know. Thank God. Um, but you know, it was an honor to do it. Jason Trachtenberg gave me a nice introduction, so um, I do want to talk about a little bit about. I was talking to Mother Pigeon afterward, an amazing person, an amazing artist, and Jason Trachtenberg's wife. And she was telling me, I had no idea about this, but I guess they were sort of a part of this famous. I do want to put another image on here real fast. Let me just, maybe I'll just start this over. Yeah, I'll just start over. Or maybe I'll do this. How about that angle? Like a mirror book thing. So anyway, she was telling me their story. They had this band, because he lived in Seattle during the 90s. He said they had this band where it was a family band. It was him, his wife, and their daughter, and they would write songs. He would write songs based on, they found slides on the street. They'd find like slides from, you know, people's families or whatever, and he would write music based on the slides, just, you know, imagining what they might be about, and they would perform these shows, and apparently they were incredibly popular, and they got on Conan O'Brien's show, and they performed on Conan and like got famous. And apparently they like traveled the world. They went to Europe, they went to London, you know, they went all over the world performing these songs that they wrote about slides. And they did a TED talk. She was telling me they did a TED talk in like 2008 or 9, and she was at the TED talk, you know, off stage after they had performed, and Matt Groening came up and said he was laying in bed one night watching Conan and saw their fucking act and like loved it. It's like that makes perfect sense. I mean, Jason Trachtenberg is such a cool guy. You know, I love, you know, it's amazing, you know, everybody that I've gotten to meet, but it's really cool to meet like the people that are just like really lifers and a part of the culture and have been around and just been really doing it, writing songs, performing. They've seen everything, they've seen it all firsthand, they know people. You know, they totally had, she was telling me they lived in Seattle, they had a manager, and they performed at Fez. Fez was this place which I think was on Lafayette, sort of near Lacombe or whatever that place is now, Cafe Colombe. Um, but it was like an alternative performance space where like the state, who was that, Stella, you know, all those people, alt comedy kind of people, David Cross or Todd Barry or whoever, Janine Garofalo, those type of people would perform at this place, Fez. And that vibe, you know, you still feel that a little bit. That's why I love meeting the old heads, you know, and the people who have been around, because you get to see, you feel that, you know, that to me, that is New York. You know, this new thing that's like fake and fucking corporate and Taylor Swift and like that's gross. I don't like the image of that or the brand of that at all. You know, I like the weird alt comedy Conan O'Brien New York or whatever. You know, the kind of zany improv, UCB. You know, Beauty Bar kind of feels like that. Auto Shrunken Head kind of feels like that. Uh, you know, and then certain performers kind of bring that with them. They bring that whole history with them. That's why it's so valuable to have people like John King, you know. And I do want to talk about just like intergenerational, you know, like we shouldn't just totally throw old people under the bus. You know, there's so much generational hate. And it's just like, come on, I mean, especially as, you know, as performers or at the open mic and things, it's like I want older people to feel like, you know, a part of it and to feel, you know, you know, just like exciting as like and to get the spotlight as much as anybody. You know, why not? We shouldn't just focus on young people. Like there is like a high. I mean, and this is something annoying about Gen Z is they are hyper like playing that card. You know, they really emphasize the fact that they're younger. They're so much younger. Everybody else is old. Oh, millennials are old and gross, and they want to differentiate themselves and judged people based on what generation they are and this and that, and they're better than us because millennials are so boring and blah blah blah. And I get it, millennials suck, but I don't know. I just don't like the generational competition that everybody's in. And so yeah, they like traveled the whole fucking world. Like what was it called? Trachtenberg Family Players or something. Check it out on YouTube. I'm gonna check some of it out. I mean, yeah. So it was amazing talking to her. I had no idea. I didn't know that they had been famous basically. But that's one thing that I wanted to mention. It goes back to my earlier point about the media, and something I'm always harping on is like at that time, that was the power of being on Conan O'Brien, being on NBC, being on legacy media. Is like if you were on Conan O'Brien, that could make your fucking career, to the point where people are coming up to you on the street. You're famous immediately, right? Because it has that power and that kind of like dominance. There was no other thing to see. There was no TikTok. There was no YouTube. There was no infinity of fucking options. It was like Conan. There wasn't even other fucking late night. Craig Ferguson. It was like that was it. Or if maybe Adult Swim or Daily Show or something. So anyway, she was telling me, they got like, that's the power of that show. They were on that show one time. They could book shows all over the world, because people knew them and loved them. And she said one day they played a show sometime. She said she knew when it was over. They played a show someplace and there was like 40 people there or something. And they had an agent, came to them and said, "You're done." Their agent literally told them that. Said, "You're done. It's over. You can't draw anymore." And I mean, in a certain way, that is what it comes down to. Is like, what can you draw? What can you get? What can you pay? That's what supports a tour. Is like, can I get people to pay money in every city? And that's what television created, right? They could create an audience in television could make you famous easily. Now, it's up to all of us to create that online presence, that online spark, that online audience. That's the hustle that we're in. And it feels like impossible, basically. I've got one viewer. I've alienated my whole audience. But it was interesting. It was fascinating to hear that. I don't think it really works that way anymore. I don't even think, if you were on Jimmy Fallon, it would not be, the same effect, really. Well, it's like it's going to make your career. And suddenly you can do gigs everywhere, right? Now you got to be Matt Rife or Andrew Schultz or Come Town or whatever. Chapo Trap House or Neoliberal Hell. If you have some kind of podcast audience, which I don't, I mean, as it seems like a no-brainer that I would do a podcast. I mean, it's kind of incredibly dumb that I don't do a podcast. Because this is obviously like maybe even a more vain narcissist. I mean, obviously it is probably a more vain narcissistic than a podcast. I went from somebody, My Dinner with Andre was so huge for me because it was like about conversation. And I wanted to bring conversation to my work. I wanted my work to have conversation and have a conversational quality. That's why I started filming my life. I wanted to capture conversation in the world. My Dinner with Andre is at this table. It's all in one place. But conversations take place on the fly. It hasn't been that easy to capture that on video, actually. To get people mic'd up, to get, some kind of camera that you can walk along. It's not easy to capture a conversation with video in a natural way as you go without disrupting just behavior. I've tried to do that with my vlogs, even though I don't film huge snatches of conversation because I do feel like it's intrusive. I want, even my writing, You know, when I wrote dialogue or plays or whatever, I wanted it to be conversational, like David Mamet or something, you know, sound like real talking and about human beings talking, you know. And somebody said that My Dinner with Andre was the first podcast. Now the whole, you know, a lot of the media is conversations. Fucking, you know, anybody with Will Arnett, Jason fucking Bateman, fucking Sean Hayes have got a fucking podcast, you know. Anybody who's on a show, there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm podcast, there's a Sopranos podcast. It feels like it's way too late, honestly. And I don't know. I'm just too much of a fucking poet. Poetry is my excuse to just be a incompetent slob mess who can't actually get my shit together. Just, you know, disheveled, messy. Have everything just laying around in boxes. Clothes laying out, clothes ripping apart on my body. Teeth falling apart. Smelly. Nerve damage. Makes you tough. It's important to be tough, you know. We gotta be hard people. Okay, is there anything? Let me check my notebook real fast, see if there's any other topics I want to talk about in my live stream. I mean, I haven't gotten to 10% battery, so maybe I'll just keep going. Oh yeah, okay, this is gonna go into my act, but there's nothing more alpha than declaring bankruptcy. That's like the most alpha thing you can do. The most manly, like badass thing you can do is declare. Oh, there I'm on 10%. Is like declare bankruptcy. Like, it's incredible that it works that way. Like, oh, I've lost so much money. I'm just gonna be like, whoops, I'm starting over, without any consequences. Like, how does that work? Bankruptcy, like Trump. That's designed for people like Trump. Like, I fucked up so bad that what they just like wipe it. How does that work? But it's like it's the ultimate. I mean, we live in this debt. You know, your debt is like your fucking your Johnson. So the bigger your fucking, it's like your big swinging, you know. So the bigger your debt. I mean, goddamn. Do you even have debt if you haven't gone fucking bankrupt, or even going hard enough if you haven't declared bankruptcy at least 3 times? We're all neurodivergent here. Oh God, I did want to talk about FAFs. Maybe I'll do that at KGB. Maybe I'll just mention FAFs. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Oh, poetry is chasing grants. Everybody just cares about grants and book prizes. That's all anybody cares about in poetry, is winning grant money. That's what I realize now. All these poets are just trying to win these contests where they get money. Oh, there's so much I need to talk about still. Fuck, okay, well. What time is it? Maybe I'll save some for later. FAFs. I'll talk about FAFs, and that'll be maybe the end. Shit, I should plug in now. Maybe I'll just die. It'll probably just die. FAFs was well, supposedly it was like the birthplace of Bohemia in America, the United States. It was a cellar venue, bar. I guess it was like a German beer hall type thing. Their owner, Pfaff, I don't know if that's his name, was German or something. And it was on Broadway and like Bleecker, someplace around there. In the 40s and 50s, 60s. And it was like just a scene, but it was kind of like an open mic. I think they would do readings, you know, they'd have people sing. You know, it was literally blocks from KGB. KGB is at 4th between 2nd and Bowery, so that's really not far from FAFs. So I was kind of having an epiphany about FAFs. That I don't know, we're just like so close to that, you know? I think Whitman would like KGB. I think Whitman would just be cruising at KGB all the time. He'd take the ferry in, or he'd take the, what? He'd be on like the F maybe. He'd take the F in and get off at Second Avenue and go to FAFs. All right. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that was exciting for people. I don't know. I gotta charge my phone, my Neuralink, my Nvidia. I don't know, folks. Not, you know, these trends are not changing. The government is losing power. You know, I don't see how the government's gonna get that power back, right? I don't necessarily think AI is. I mean, maybe this is stupid to fucking say, but like, people act like this is some kind of like robot army that's going to fucking come and like slaughter all of us. I'm sure our lives are going to continue to evolve in crazy fucking ways over the rest of this decade, but I don't. These tech people like to hype their shit so much. And to be honest, the iPhone was really the last big thing, I feel like, that really changed our fucking lives, you know? And so these tech people are so much fucking hype that most of the shit I've seen made with AI looks like shit, okay? All of the AI generated art I've seen looks like shit. It looks like bad cartoons. It looks like the Mad Magazine. I mean, I love Mad Magazine cartoonists, but it looks like Mad Magazine like covers or something. Like, it looks like shit. It's not good. I haven't seen any art at all, and it's not generative. It just synthesizes things that already are in the public domain, basically, the image database. So, I think it's a lot of flim flam. The self driving car people, the Tesla people, the space people, and the AI people can all go fuck themselves. They can go have a big cluster fuck with each other. Because I'm not buying any of their bullshit. I'll be live streaming. I'll be vlogging. I'll be trying to spread my message. Those who have ears to hear, let them hear. I mean, I can't handle people watching my streams. I would love it if just suddenly I woke up one day and was like popular and everybody loved me. And millions of people just watched my streams and thought I was a genius and gave me money. I would love that. If just one day somebody waved a magic wand of the world and was like, "This Matt Proctor guy is a fucking genius. Let's make him a fucking 300 billionaire." Well, maybe not even that, you know, but like I would love it if one day just somebody waved a fucking wand over the United States and planet, and suddenly the culture appreciated me in a major way. Probably everybody feels that way, but am I insane to say that? I suppose I am. Somebody got to say it. I feel like that's my job. My job is to just be totally diaristically nude, but as creative as possible. You know, I would like to believe that I have like an ability and a talent. You know, I do think that I am, you know, a great American writer. I'm sorry to say that on the internet permanently for everybody on YouTube, but so be it. You know, we have to pioneer these. We have to drive our wagon trains. We're the Oregon Trail generation, god damn it. We have to caulk the wagon and ford the river into the cyberspace, into the metasphere, okay? We are the pioneers in our Conestoga wagons onto the digital planes of the metaverse, everyone. So come with me into the Metaverse Comedy Club in the virtual open mic. I think I do maybe want to do a Zoom open mic. Somebody told me that they wanted to do an event on Zoom, and I'm like, you know, why not? Why not do a fucking weekly open mic on Zoom? I don't think we could get people from all over the world. That would be kind of cool. I think having an audience online once a week, I think that's not a bad place to touch base. And Zoom, I don't think is a bad third space type. I mean, they started to charge for it, which is bullshit. But if it was free, like Spot, remember when what the fuck even was it called? What was that app before Zoom? Um, I can't even remember. Skype. Remember when Skype was free? Ay, 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 those were the days. Now we gotta pay for Zoom. So anyway, I might do a Zoom reading. Book me on a Zoom reading. I'd love to do a Zoom reading. I'm ready for the pandemic nostalgia. When does pandemic core become a thing? When are people going to share their pandemic literature? Maybe I'll do a pandemic night at Easy Paradise. We'll do a pandemic theme. No, people hate my themes. They're very, like, in poor taste. The President's Day thing. All right. I didn't know how to sell it. It was anti-President's Day. Anti-Valentine's, anti-President's. So, yeah, I don't know. Buy my books. Buy War Commercial. We got to blow up. This culture needs real heroes. We're transferring literacy onto the devices, okay? We have to accept it. We need to immigrate our voices, our intellects, our art, our poetry into the live streams, into the feeds, into the reels. All right, good night, everyone. Thank you for watching. We're on a secret mission to create real art, real beauty, real connection, real human moments. We're hybrid cyborgs. We're like android hybrid people. We're half machine. We're half iPhone. We're half Zoom. We're half live. I'm half YouTube. I'm like 90% YouTube. You know how human beings are 76% water? I'm 76% YouTube. 76% live stream. All right, everybody. This is my phone call. I love you. I love you. Okay? I need you. Why are you not here with me? I need you. I need companionship. Please. Somebody. All right. Anyway, we'll see you probably Monday at open mic. God, please sign up. I don't hold anything against anybody. Where did everybody go? Are they scared? Are you scared of Ashley? Ashley's not going to hurt anybody. Please come back, everyone. I mean, we're having a great time, but I think certain people, they just break up with us. Certain people, Easy Paradise, they dump us. They have to. They have to break up with us. It gets weird. But anyway, we welcome anybody who wants to come back anytime. We're there for you every Monday, putting on the Ritz, putting on the best show that we can, and trying to get people, trying to make it the capital city. The capital, this is what makes this the capital. Thank you for watching. We'll see you very soon. Check out all the recent videos. Check out so this is my new vlog. It's premiering soon. I'm just finishing it tonight, so it should premiere quickly soon in the near future. Thank you guys for watching, and keep making beauty. Keep making content.